Mr. Chairman, sir, I oppose this bill on two grounds. Apart from the merits of the bill before the House, I am against any new taxation being imposed by this state. I have already advanced my reasons during the discussion of the budget in this House. My point is that before the government come forward with a proposal for any new additional taxation to be imposed upon the citizens of this state, they have to discharge a primary and essential duty which they have failed to discharge for the last so many years. I am not against the opposition of any new taxes for the purpose of carrying on the administration of our state as a welfare state, but my complaint is that before any new tax is sought to be levied, even though it be for a good reason, the government have to consider whether they could not put through an effective retrenchment program and cut down expenditure. It is a top heavy administration which we have inherited from the foreign government and which we are continuing to have without any change for the last so many years. My first objection is that this government have no right to consider fresh taxation proposals. Before doing so, they should consider the desirability of effecting suitable retrenchment, which should certainly not be in the lower rank. Retrenchment is always affected in the lower grades and the upper grades are not touched at all. We have got a top heavy administration and there are very many undesirable and unnecessary posts in the state. These posts must be abolished and there must be retrenchment in all the departments. Has there been any retrenchment worth mentioning? The administration is being carried on in the same old manner and the same officials are there, although here and there a few changes have been made. As a member of the legislature, I have been pressing for the abolition of the Board of Revenue. It is an unnecessary body and is nothing but the fifth wheel in the coach. This government have not yet attempted to think about the advisability of abolishing the Board of Revenue and other unnecessary posts. This is my first objection. Sir, there seems to be no end to the enhancement of taxation by the government. Prior to the introduction of the sales tax, we had the land tax as our Kamadhenu, but after the appearance of the sales tax, this Kamadhenu of land tax began to kick and it also got famized. There were land disputes between the landlords and tenants, and the tendency of the government has rightly been to support the tenant. I have been in fact supporting this tendency. Now if the government really want to more benefits to flow to the tenants, they must make it convenient for the landlords to give such benefits to the tenants without grudging. The government should see that no further impediments are placed in the way of the landlords and that they are not taxed further. My second objection, with great respect to the Honorable the Minister in charge of the bill, is that this measure for the imposition of a surcharge on land revenue is a dishonest one. I am compelled to use this adjective. The principle underlying this bill is no doubt a good one, namely that the government are asking those who are in the better position to make a contribution to the revenues of the government. I also concede that there must not be a uniform rate of taxation on land for all classes of people. The present land revenue policy is defective in this respect. That is, a person who owns 5 acres of land and a person owning 1,000 or 2,000 acres of land are assessed to land revenue at the same rate. There is no difference in the rate if the principle that those who are in a better position should pay more is to be accepted. May I ask with great respect to the Treasury bench why they have not come forward with an honest measure for imposing an agricultural income tax, which is the only thing which would solve this problem. If the government want to assess and tax the people according to their capacity and according to the income which they derive from the land, they should have come forward with a tax on agriculture income. I think the sister state of Kerala has got a similar measure that state government are having on agricultural income tax. Why should not this government also try to have an agricultural income tax instead of a surcharge on land revenue? There is a great advantage in having an agricultural income tax in that the lower Shraddha will be exempted. Even in regard to the ordinary income tax, people with an annual income below a certain level are not taxed. Municipalities also exempt certain lower income groups from the levy of profession tax. Why should not the government adopt a similar principle in regard to the persons who are engaged in agriculture and who really contribute to the food requirements of the state and who are really working for the welfare of the country? Why should not the smaller classes of landowners be exempted? Why should not there be a graded system of land tax according to the capacity of the individual? Of course, I welcome the land revenue surcharge bill to the extent that it has introduced a graded system, but my complaint is that instead of this surcharge, the government could have come forward with proposals for an agricultural income tax. As far as the district of Malabar is concerned, we had some difficulties in regard to this surcharge on land revenue on account of the peculiar land tenure system obtaining here. I am really glad that the difficulties of Malabar have been practically solved by the government accepting the small amendment moved by my honorable friend in the other house. To this extent also I welcome the bill, but my general objections to this kind of taxation remain, namely that first of all the government must effect retrenchment, and secondly there must be a scientific system of agricultural income tax. With these few words I am obliged to oppose the measure.